I call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Public Works this Tuesday, January 3rd of 2023. First up, we have election of officers. Do we have a motion on a slate for the election of officers?
I move that we have a slate that is Kyla Cox-Deckard as president. I'm so sorry, I just drew a complete blank.
My last name?
Yes. Yes, Elizabeth Caron as vice president, Jennifer Lloyd as secretary. I'll try to do a better job as secretary in remembering the names.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next up, we have messages from board members. Do we have any messages from the board?
No.
Next, we have petitions and remonstrances. Before we go to the first item on that list, I'd like to open it up for public comment for anything that is not on the agenda this evening. If we have any public comment on anything not on the agenda, now is the opportunity. Seeing none. We will move to first item under petitions, which is appeal noise violation number 39904. I believe we will have a staff report to start.
Good afternoon or good evening. This is Chris Wheeler with City Legal. I have with me Officer Thomas Kruzman, who was the issuing officer on the notice of violation, or the ticket, if you will. The staff report that I presented to the board for consideration outlines what the controlling ordinances are, the language in those controlling ordinances identifying, most particularly in this case, that any sound that is clearly audible to a person with normal hearing from any place other than the premises from which the source of the sound is located, when the sound occurs between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m., is prima facie evidence of a violation of this section, and that is section 14.09.030 C4. When that type of event occurs, all we need to do is show from the officer who issued the ticket that he has normal hearing, that he wasn't on the property and could hear the noise, and that it occurred between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. On any given day. The officer is here to provide that information, and I will have him do that at this time. You'll just want to state your name and tell them what you did.
All right. My name is Officer Thomas Kruzman. For the spelling of the last name, that's Kreuzman. I'm an officer with the City of Bloomington Police Department, been there about 6 years. On the evening of August 20th, going into the 21st, officers, we had received upwards of 4 to 5 calls from different parties about noise violations in the 1300 block of North Washington Street. Upon arriving there, one of our other officers encountered a large party at 1320 North Washington Street and also 1319 North Washington Street. The other officer issued a noise violation to 1320. After we had handled that one, there was still loud amplified music, large amount of people coming from 1319 North Washington Street as well. So I had proceeded over to that address where I had met with the party that was issued the ticket, in this case, Brandon Schermersheim, who identified himself as one of the tenants of the property. He was aware that the party was ongoing and stated they had had a large party the night before as well. So he claimed to be a tenant there. The music was still ongoing. It was a loud amplified system outside of the residence sitting on the porch. We had him shut that music off, and then he was issued the noise citation.
Additional staff report?
Thank you.
Thanks.
And so from the officer's statements, we can then look at the other two sections with regards to the noise. This was unreasonable noise by statute. It is unlawful for any person to cause or make any unreasonable noise or to allow any unreasonable noise to be caused or made in or on any real or personal property occupied or controlled by that person. And so these are the other, I think, important elements to show that the noise that was being made was unreasonable because it was being made at that time of night and you could hear it off property. That makes it unreasonable. And it was being made, or at least allowed to be made, by somebody in control of the property, in this case, Brandon Sermersheim. I'd like to address a few other things. The ticket, when it's issued, as with a speeding ticket, if anyone's ever had one, does not show an amount on the ticket face because the officer wouldn't know whether there have been priors, and so they don't have the opportunity in the field to make that determination. That determination is made by the administrative arm of that enforcement agency. So they review the record and determine whether or not, or what the amount of the fine will be. In this department, if you're going to receive a warning, you do not receive a ticket. If you're going to be issued a fine with a cost associated, you receive a ticket. In this case, the ticket was issued, and the administrative branch of the enforcement agency, the Bloomington Police Department, determined that this was a first offense for Mr. Sermersheim, and so it was a $50 fine in accordance with our ordinance. I'd be happy to answer questions or have the officer answer questions as the board requests.
All right, thank you.
I would ask you a quick question, Mr. Wheeler.
And I'm sorry, let me just say this. I don't see the appellant here, and I
He's
don't know
online.
if he's online. Okay,
Yep.
great, thank you.
Perfect. No, I just wanted to, in our work session earlier, you mentioned that the back of the ticket had information on how the person who has issued the ticket should contact the police. Could you go
Yes,
through
and
that
I can
again?
go through that. So the back of the ticket discusses what your options are when you receive a ticket, and it gives you 7 days to do these things, which is to accept responsibility and go ahead and pay the ticket, which would be to contact the City of Bloomington Police Department and have that arranged to make that payment. The other one would be to deny responsibility and appeal that citation to the Board of Public Works, and in either case, you're given 7 days to do that. So in this case, I think there were some issues with regards to getting the ticket sent out for collection. And at that time, Mr. Sermersheim realized that he actually owed money and he tried to make an appeal. We are allowing that appeal to go forward, even though by definition of the ordinance, it would have been late.
Get to. Thank you.
Thanks. Now we have the opportunity to hear from the appellant. So if we could unmute and just hear the appeal.
Yeah, so he's definitely right. First thing I will start out with, we did not have a party, not that it matters, but we did not have a party the night before. But regarding the ticket, I guess I don't know if it just from where, but I couldn't see anything. And then, like I said, there's nothing, no $50 or amount listed on it. So I kind of assumed that there's no ticket. Therefore, that's why it took 3 months. And then I received that letter in the mail, which is why I was confused that I didn't know there was a ticket in the first place.
All right, questions from the board?
Received a copy of a document that was like a yellow crumpled copy of the ticket. Can you tell me where that came from? This is a question for Mr. Wheeler.
I can handle that. That was sent to April by the appellant. Yes.
Okay. So Mr. Sermersheim had that copy of the ticket and received that on the evening
Yes.
of the party? Okay.
Could I ask the officer something? Hi, thanks for being here.
No problem, thank you.
The evening in question, when you provided the ticket, was there any verbal conversation about a monetary fine?
It was explained to him, I believe, what the values were, but obviously we didn't know if that was his first fine or not. So usually when I respond, I tell people what the 3 levels are, the 50, the 100, then the 500 for subsequent tickets within the calendar year. So it was explained, it's recorded on the body camera footage that this is a ticket. This is how you pay said ticket or contest said ticket if you wish, which was actually signed as well by Mr. Sermersheim. So he was made aware of how to go about taking care of that ticket if he had any questions.
Thank you.
Other questions on this item? One question I asked during the work session earlier today, and I think this is a question for Officer Cruzman. We received like the log of conversation that was happening that evening. Was all of that log related to this property? There was a mention of like fireworks and some other things in addition, and I wasn't sure, I wasn't clear on whether that content was all related to the same property or if there was maybe some chatter about a couple different incidents happening.
There were two properties at that time. The other one that I had referenced earlier, which was 1320 North Washington, and then 1319. They sit directly across from one another, so there were large amounts of people coming from 1320, large amounts of people coming from 1319. The fireworks and stuff that was referenced was primarily from 1320, so not in this case. The noise violation that was issued to 1319 to Mr. Schermersheim was for the loud music, loud party specifically, not the fireworks.
Okay. Thank you. All right, any other questions on this item? Any public comment on this item? Is there a motion?
I move that we deny the appeal for noise violation 39904.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next up is the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda is the approval of minutes for December 20th of 2022, a 2023 Cooperative Centerstone Agreement, 2023 contract renewal with PEI Maintenance for fuel tank inspections, outdoor lighting service agreement with Duke Energy for the West Allen Street Greenway project, and approval of payroll. Do we have any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda this evening? Do we have any public comments on anything within the consent agenda? Seeing none. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve tonight's consent agenda, January 3rd, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next up under new business is change order number 1 for the Smith Road resurfacing project.
Wason here on behalf of Matt Smethurst with the Engineering Department. This project was awarded to EMB Paving. The project included milling and resurfacing of Smith Road from 3rd to 10th Street. Change order number 1 will balance all the pay items in the contract with an overrun or underrun. Change order number 1 would result in a decrease of the total contract by $1,761.65 for a new contract sum of $332,572.35. And this is a joint matching project through the Community Crossings Matching Grant Program and local funds. So overall, a net decrease of $1,761.65.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this item? Any public comment on this item? Is there a motion?
I move that we approve change order number 1 for the Smith Road resurfacing project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next up is staff reports and other business.
And Adam Wason, Public Works Director. On the consent agenda was a contract renewal or a contract extension with the Centerstone group for the Brighton B-Town partnership. And just wanted to make a quick note how successful that program's been in the last several years. This is our 3rd year partnering with Centerstone for a supportive employment program for their clients. Those clients work with city staff. They're clients of Centerstone and paid as employees of Centerstone, but work with city staff on community-wide beautification type projects. So think of anything from cleaning out a gutter of yard waste and debris to painting yellow curbs, weeding tree plots, tree plots. And they've also helped with our leafing crews for the last several years. Just wanted to highlight how great of a partnership that's been. We've served, I think, almost 60 clients at this point in time. Several have moved on to gainful employment elsewhere. The vast majority have moved into permanent housing, which has been a real great success. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of those things. Just really great partnership with Centerstone there. A couple other things for a staff report. We are finishing up our final bit of leafing. So we got a little bit behind with the snow from the snow and the winter weather a couple weeks ago. Caught up with that, and then changed all the equipment back to leafing, and have about a half a day's worth of work tomorrow, probably to finish up the full, all the different zones for the leafing program. So that'll be wrapping up. And then otherwise, just into the new year for 2023. Wish everybody a happy new year, and hopefully it's as successful as last year. So thank you so much.
Quick question.
Mhm.
The weather looks good this week. Are you going back to any zones a second time for leafing, or this will be the half a day? And then
They're going to do some spot checks to make sure there's no large piles, but we won't be doing a full citywide second sweep, no.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right. If there is nothing else for business this evening, then I will call for adjournment.